this. Okay, so some basic introduction. The first one is me. I'm Gordon. I am currently a sophomore at Valley Christian High School. I love to do 3D animation in my free time. I try to do some renders of environments, some renders of just game assets. I am also part of the 3D animation club at my school, and these are all members of the club. And then Yo, can you just also introduce yourself as well?
All right. My name is Yul, and I guess the description says I'm a guy who's very good at Blender. I also enjoy doing landscape and making game assets too.
Cool. So the reason that we wanted to do this class was number one, we're all very passionate about teaching and doing, especially doing 3D animation and modeling. And we found that there's not a lot of online resources. Like you can go on YouTube, but there's not a lot of resources to help you in person. So, which is why we decided to start this class so we can help get people interested, get the people in our community interested in what 3D animation and 3D modeling is. And once again, hello, and welcome to our 3D animation class. So just to give a basic outline of what we'll be doing over the next couple of weeks, this overall class is laid out over a 10-week period where we have one class every week on Monday at the same time. As you can see here, the first couple of classes are just basic introduction, telling you guys how to navigate the user interface, how to create basic shapes, how to modify basic shapes. And the next week, we'll also go through some rendering, lighting, and shading techniques, and we'll explain what these means in a little bit. We will also cover some basic, some more advanced topics, such as sculpting techniques, which is basically how to get more details into your models. We will also be covering some cool simulations. So if you want to simulate like smoke, fire, or like a bouncing ball, we'll all cover that in March. And to cap it all off, at the end of March, beginning of April, we will have a cumulative project where you'll use every technique that we previously covered to create something that you like. It could be a simple scene of a house. It could be of a tree. It could even be of a simple character. So it's a lot of material, but it's all going to be pretty exciting. And I really hope that you guys will have a lot of fun going over all of these. Okay, so first of all, we'll start off with the simple question. What exactly is 3D animation? Do any of you guys have any thoughts? Okay, well, 3D animation. We have a short video that briefly covers the basics of 3D modeling and animation.
What are the basics? Well, they could be summed up.
Can you guys hear it? Okay, cool.
As follows. Modeling an object by creating a cage and moving it about till it forms the shape of your object. Textures or materials to make the surface look real when it's rendered. And lighting to create a pleasing final image when it's rendered. These are what you could call the 3 building blocks of 3D. Now, when you get more advanced, you'll learn about other stuff like animation or compositing, but 95% of what you want to make in 3D will use these fundamentals. And by the way, if you're interested in learning any of this stuff, stay to the end of the video and I'll suggest a video series for you to start on.
Okay, cool. So that is the basics of 3D animation. Today we'll briefly cover how to download the software and to get you guys all started. We'll also cover some beginner modeling techniques, how to how to add basic shapes like cubes, cones, and planes. We'll also talk about how to navigate the user interface. So we'll get started on modeling today. We'll also briefly touch on texturing next week, so look forward to that. Okay. Oh, next slide. Okay, so officially, if you search up on Google or Wikipedia, this is the what 3D animation means. It's the process of creating moving images in a three-dimensional environment, giving the illusion that these digital objects are moving through a 3D space. So 3D animation in essence is bringing shapes such as characters or objects such as phones, microphones, computers, or even like balls, skateboards, bringing all of these things to life and moving them in the 3D space so that it appears to the audience that the objects are realistic, that they can follow what we think they look like in the actual world. And it appears that they're moving through the 3D space, basically. And so I wonder, right? You guys have seen some of the cool movies, Pixar movies, Disney movies like Cars, Wall-E, all of those 3D animated movies. Have you ever wondered how these animators make all the movies? Like, how do they get the characters to move? How do they get the robots or the cars to look the way they are? Or how do they get them to move in such a way that it looks pleasing to the eye? Right? How do they create these movies? And so that's what we will explore next. And one of the answer to that is Blender. So what Blender is that it's a free software that you can get online, get it on your own computers that you can use to get you started into 3D animation. Blender is special in that it's free and it's open source. If you look at some of the other programs, and I'm not gonna go deep into this, but a lot of the softwares that Pixar or Disney use or that they use in the industry cost thousands of dollars and they're really, really expensive. So it's really hard to get started into 3D animation when you first have to invest thousands of dollars into a software. So this is where Blender comes in. It's free and there's a lot of resources online. So it's really, really easy to get started and learn. And we have the next clip of videos to show you guys what Blender is.
The first reason is that of all the choices, Blender is the only one which is 100% free. You don't have to buy expensive software licenses or apply for limited student discounts. It's free and it always will be. Now, when you're just starting out, this is really important because you don't yet know if you'll even like 3D yet. Now, I'm just being realistic here because I know people that assume that the only way to learn 3D was to enroll at a college, spend upwards of $100,000 in student loans, pay for expensive software licenses, and then after 2 years, have the sudden realization that 3D wasn't what they expected. Now, if they had started learning Blender at home, followed some free YouTube tutorials, they would have spent $0. And honestly, they probably would have enjoyed it more. So Blender's free. But the next natural thought then is Blender as good as the expensive alternatives? After all, what's all that money go to if it's not to make them better? Well, just like how Wikipedia crushed Encarta, money doesn't always equal better. Blender is developed by volunteers around the world, which has its pros and cons, but one of the advantages is that you often get features that users truly want, whereas a public company often need to do a cost-benefit analysis to justify development time to their shareholders. But the real secret sauce of Blender, and this is the thing that really separates it from other open source softwares, is the open movies. Tom Roosendahl, who is the creator and founder of Blender, realized that without a real project to test Blender on, that they'd never know what features were necessary to make Blender production ready. So in 2005, he came up with the idea of open movies, short films that were made with Blender so they could learn the crucial features that artists need. They started with Elephant's Dream in 2005, which led them to develop the Compositor. Then Big Buck Bunny, which helped them to develop rendering. Sintel helped them develop smoke simulation, Tears of Steel for camera tracking and visual effects, and Cosmos Laundromat for improved painting and performance, among other things. There's even more open movies I haven't mentioned yet, but if you want to binge watch some great short films while also seeing what Blender can do, I recommend watching Sintel, Cosmos Laundromat, and Carmen Andes 2. You can click the buttons here to watch them directly. These open movies have helped Blender go from being a low-key hobbyist tool to something that's truly production ready. With Blender, you could render photorealistic images, model and sculpt characters, create realistic environments, architecture, fire, smoke, fluid, object simulations, camera tracking, compositing, and much, much more. Tony DeRose from Pixar said that Blender can do almost everything that Pixar's in-house software can do, and that a bunch of guys who use Blender in their garage will be the next Pixar. So, that's what Blender can do. Before I close, I'll mention the final reason that I think beginners should start with Blender. That's the community. In terms of search volume, Blender dominates YouTube, with several YouTubers like myself regularly making free tutorials on characters, environments, cars, or virtually anything you want to make. I've heard from users of other packages that this is one of Blender's very strong points. The community seems to want to give back, and as a result, you'll find people online that are constantly going out of their way to offer help. There's an active Blender subreddit, a dedicated Blender Stack Exchange, a Blender news site, and a Blender art forum. So if you're looking to get started in 3D, Blender is a very solid choice. Now, I personally have been using Blender for 12 years. When I started in the exact same position that you're in right now, I taught myself how to use Blender by following some free tutorials that I found online. But today, I teach others to do the same. So through this YouTube channel, Blender Guru, I make Blender tutorials and I show people how to use Blender. So to help beginners like yourself, what I've done is I've created a special YouTube course that'll show you a complete introduction to Blender.
Okay, so I feel like that's enough introduction to Blender. So yeah, basically Blender is really an amazing piece of software. It allows you to do a lot of amazing things like modeling, animation. It's a really well-rounded piece of software.
For reasons.
Whoops. Okay. So next up, if you guys have a computer or a laptop, we have to get you guys downloaded. You have to download Blender to be able to start. So if you can search up Blender download on either Google or Safari on your laptop or computer, or you can go to this link right here. And if I click on it, you can see that it leads to here, and you can click download Blender, and that will get you started. If you guys can, oh yeah, you also sent the link in chat, so you can click on that directly. If you guys need help, please feel free to unmute yourself and speak. It will also help a lot if you guys can turn your cameras on. So how is everyone doing? Can you guys all access the link? Okay. If nobody unmutes themselves, I'll just keep going. If you guys have any trouble, please just feel free to unmute yourself or type in the chat. And then we have people who will help you out in the chat as well. Okay. So after you click the download button, if you're on Mac, you can choose the Mac version of Blender. And if you're on Windows, select the Windows installer. And then after it downloads, you should just be able to click on the download file, and then a pop-up will show up on, I believe on Mac. You have to drag it to an applications folder, and if you're on Mac and you need help, Thomas will help you with that. On Windows, same thing. You can click on the downloaded file, and this little pop-up, like you see on the picture on the bottom, will show up. Just click next. If you give it a while, it will download itself. You don't have to change anything, just click next. And then we'll give a minute for you guys to get started. And once again, if you have any questions or if you need help, feel free to just type in chat or speak out. Okay, I can see that Frank has finished downloading. What about Jaden, Elliot, Alyssa, and William? Do you guys need help, or how are you guys doing?
Wait. Is it this one?
Let me see. Yes, that is the one. Perfect.
Because I saw a lot of other ones.
Yeah, you got the right one. Don't worry about it. Oh, okay. Alyssa, that's fine. 17 minutes. You can open it when it finishes downloading. That's fine. As long as you can download and open it. This lecture is also recorded, so if you need to go back, you can ask for the recording and then review it at any time. We'll give everyone another minute until 7:20. Okay, cool. Can you guys give a thumbs up if you have Blender downloaded and open? Just so I can see who has it. Okay. Nice. Okay. Cool. All right. So, introduction to Blender. Let's get started with the basics. Take it over, Yul. You can screen share if you need.
All right. I think you might need to unshare first. Yeah, cool. All right, can everyone see my screen? Yeah?
Yep.
Cool. Will the Zoom thing go away? All right, cool. You guys can also see what I'm clicking down below here. You can also see like the mouse keypads I'm clicking. All right, so to rotate around, you want to click on the middle mouse. And this will allow you to, if you press down and you drag around, you'll be able to rotate around the world. Then after that, you will be able to, you can drag select, and this will allow you to select multiple different objects. There's the camera, there's the cube, and there's a light. And then scrolling on your mouse wheel will allow you to zoom in and out. And then pressing shift with your middle mouse will allow you to pan around the world. That's the basic navigation in Blender. And does anyone have any questions right now? No? Oh. All right. Then I guess we'll go straight into the objects. So we can first get rid of everything. So you guys can drag select. And then if you press X, you can get rid of these objects. And then if you, all right, so first we can go to object here. And this will give you a huge list. Actually, no, add. And we can start with the mesh. Does anyone have any questions so far? No? All right. Then you can click on cube and this will give you the first cube. You can also do the same by pressing Shift A and you'll be given the same list here. We're going to be focusing on meshes today, so you can go straight to plane. Oh, and you can get rid of the cube first, actually. Does anyone have any questions yet? Or because everyone's being silent right now. Is everyone good? All right, I'm gonna assume everyone's good. And then you can delete everything again by pressing X and delete. And you can press Shift A again. And this time we'll add in a UV sphere. And you'll just be given a sphere and you can see it's made out of squares. And then you can also get rid of this thing again. And you can add in an icosphere. This time you can see it's made out of triangles. They each have their different uses, but we can get into that later. You can get rid of that thing again. And then you can add in a cylinder. Oh, everyone knows what a cylinder is. And then you can add in a cone. And finally, you can add in a torus, or it's a donut. Did anyone have any other questions so far? No, everyone's tracking along. All right, cool. All right, you guys can, actually, we'll go over some other stuff first. What you can do is, we'll re-add it. Yeah, we'll re-add the cube in. We're gonna go over transforms. So if you go to the right panel here, you can see this little transform option. And you can see the locations here. There's rotation and there's scale here. So you can control on the X here by dragging. And this will move on the X axis, which you can see is the red line here. And you can move on the Y axis by dragging again, and it'll move on the green one. And the Z axis will move it up and down. And you could reset this by clicking 0, and you can press tab to move to the next box and pressing 0 again. And this will reset the location. Is everyone good with this so far? Everyone good? All right, then after that, we can go to rotation. You can drag here, and this will tilt it only on the X axis here. As you can see, it'll just rotate only there. The Y will stay the same and the Z will stay the same. And we can set this back to 0. And then you can also drag on the y-axis here. And this will allow you to tilt it on the y. As you can see, it's locked on the y-axis here. And finally, we got the z-axis. So you can, again, drag it and it just changes on the z-axis only. Then we get to the scale here. And you could change on the x and this will stretch it or shrink it on the x. And you have the y that does the same. And you have the z. All right, does anyone have any questions yet? No questions yet? Hello? All right, I'm gonna just assume that everyone's good. All right, so instead, most of the time, you're gonna have to go into add here, click on everything here, and then move over here and try to move everything. All right, that's way too much work. And since we're lazy here, we like to use shortcuts. So to create new objects, you can press Shift A, and this will give you the same option here. And we'll add in the cube again. And then for moving it around in the location, we can press G, and you could just drag it around. And if you press on Z, it'll just only move on the Z axis. If you press X, only on the X axis. And Y will only move on the Y axis. You can also press rotate, which is R, and you can free rotate it again. Or you can press Z, and there's also X, and there's also Y. Is everyone good so far? If you guys have questions, you guys can always type in chat. Oh,
Yeah,
Alright.
Jaden has a question in the chat.
how do I move the perspective where I look? Okay. All right. You can see the little mouse thing here at the bottom right corner. And you press on the middle mouse and you can see it says middle and it has like the white little highlight. You can drag it around and you'll be able to move. If you still can't get it, you could type in chat and I could try help a little more. Are you good? You got it? Oh. All right, cool. All right, we're gonna move to scale now. So the shortcut for scale is pressing S. Oh, okay, there you go. If you press S, you can scale it just freely. And again, you can press Y and only on the Y axis, X only on the X axis, and Z only on the Z axis. So with this, you can now make some pretty simple objects. We can all start with a simple, I guess, a simple little hut. All right, so normally what I would do when I'm making landscape is I would move the cube off the ground. As you can see, it's slightly underneath the ground with you can see the base level here. So I would go to Z and click 1 and that'll move it right on top of the ground. Is everyone here?
Could you repeat that?
Oh, okay. So, all right, so you click on the cube and then to the right panel, you can see the location here. And right where the Z is, you click on the Z and you just type in 1 and you press enter and they'll move it up right on the ground level. You got it?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, and then we can add in a little hut. So we can press Shift A and then we go to the mesh area and we scroll down to the cone and that can give us a little roof. So we want to move this to the top of the roof right there. So the bottom of the cylinder would be right on top of the roof of the cube. So we can press G and we could try to match it up. But then we can never get it perfectly. So what another option that you can do is, do you all see this little gizmos thing here? There's like the X thing with the Z and the Y thing. If you press on the Y here, don't press on anything else, just this Y little, the circle with the Y on it. You'll be moved to this isometric view and only show you like a flat view of everything. And now you can press G and Z, and now you can move it up until it matches perfectly. Or you could just change over here and say 3. And if you press on the rotate, which is the middle mouse, and you start dragging again, you'll get out of that view. And this does not look like a roof at all. It looks kind of silly. So now what you can do is you can try to scale it at the bottom, but then if you try to scale it, it does not work. If you try scaling the X only, then it looks kind of funny, or even on the Y, it looks kind of funny. So what you can do is you can press scale, right? And then if you press shift, and then if you press Z, it will now show this, the two X and the Y lines going out. And now it only scale on the X and the Y. So pressing shift and then Z or shift and X, whichever axis that you press with shift will make it so that it does not scale on that. Okay, that was kind of a bad explanation. I'll try explaining it one more time. So you press scale and then shift, right? You hold down shift, and let's say I want to scale it on every single axis except for the Z axis. So I want to keep it flat and make it more wider. I press shift Z, and now I can drag it, and it doesn't grow taller, it just stays still and just grows on the X and the Y. And now you got a little hut. Does anyone have questions? No questions? Wow, nice, okay. Everyone's good? All right, cool. So now we got a little hut, but the thing is it doesn't have a door. So what we can do is we can add in another cube, and we can go again. This time we'll go on the X axis here. So we can scroll around until you can see the red circle. Make sure you click on the red circle, not the Z or the Y. Make sure it's the X here. So now you can move it up again to 1. So you can press G, Z, and you can match it, and then just go over here and click 1. And now we can try to scale in the door so it's the right length. So to make it narrower, we gotta scale on the Y axis. So you press S and Y. So now it starts moving on the Y axis. And we'll go right there. And then now the door is way too tall. So we can now scale on the Z axis, which will now bring it down. As you can see, the Z axis. But then now it's just kind of going right in the middle. Now that's kind of really awkward. So what we can do instead is that we could change the, I guess you could say, the origin point. So right now we are scaling at right where this little dot is. And what would be better is if you could scale it right where this little cursor is. And we can change that by going over to, actually, we can press period. On your keyboard, press period, and this will give you a big option. Is everyone here? All right, from the silence, I'm going to assume that we're good. And you can click on 3D cursor.
Can you show how you made the door?
Do you want me to go from the very beginning?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so you know how to make a cube, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got the cube, and we want it on ground level again. So we change the Z to 1. And then now this is just like another replication of the cube that's like the base of the building. So we want to scale this by pressing S, which is the scale ring. And we can press Y, and this will now scale on the Y axis and make the door narrower. Are we good? Or do you still need help?
I'm good.
All right, cool. And then after I press period, make sure it's on the 3D cursor. And now you can scale, and you can notice that when I press Z for scaling on the Z axis, it now scales down perfectly, just like how it'll scale right to the, you can see the cursor here. It'll scale right there. So we can say this is how tall the door will be. And now if we get out of the rotate or the X view, we can see that the door is kind of inside the house. So now we can go to the Y axis. Is everyone catching up here? Oh, okay.
Oh, Jaden has a question.
Yeah. When I scale or rotate my shapes, it's very precise. How do I make it like yours? Do you have this little magnet thing open? All right, is this magnet like blue like this? Yeah, you want to make sure that thing is off. So if it's not highlighted, then you're good. You fix it?
How did you do the period thing?
Oh, it's just on your keyboard. You press the period button.
Mhm.
You can look down there and say period and then tweak the cursor. We good? Cool. All right, you can
Wait,
see,
Yul,
yeah.
can you just briefly explain what's the pivot point and what's the 3D cursor?
All right, the 3D cursor, you guys can all see it right here. You see the little crosshair with the little red, white circle? That's going to be your world origin or your 3D cursor. And then we got, there we go. That's the other point that we could use, where if you go to individual origins here. Yeah, actually, I might as well explain everything here. So if you press individual origin, that's going to scale it only to this little, I guess, the orange dot here, and it'll scale straight to there only. And then if I press median point, if I box select, which is dragging select, and I select both of these objects, it'll find the median point between these two, like the middle point, and it'll scale only to there. This is only useful when you want to scale multiple objects. For now, we can keep it at 3D cursor. Is everyone good?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, we can click on the door, and you can see it's kind of hard to click on the door here. Oh. Oh. Okay. Why might that be?
Jaden, I think I can help you out with it. You want to join a breakout room with me so you can show me exactly what's going on? Oh, okay, you got it.
All right, cool. Okay. So you can see it's kind of hard to click on the door here, since we keep kicking. Oh my god, I cannot English. So since we keep clicking on the big room, so what we can do is go to the hierarchy here, and you can see if we press cone, we press on the roof. Press on the cube, we press on the cube here, like the big room. And if you press on the cube 0.001, that is the little door here that we have. Is everyone clicking on the door right now? All right, cool. We can go to the y-axis view. So click on the Y button here. And we can zoom in. And we can scale on the door. So we'll say, since the door is usually not that thick, we can make it pretty narrow. I say about this is good. And we can make it precise if we want to. And we'll say 0.05. I'll wait here for a bit. So if you want to, you can copy my measurements. All right. And then after that, you can press G and X and you can move it. And we'll put the door on this side. And we place that right there. And now we just have a little simple house. And since it's just beginners, it's not going to be too detailed. So we'll leave it at this. Do you want me to go into edit mode or no?
Yeah, can you just briefly cover it or demonstrate it with a cube?
Okay. All right, we're gonna actually we'll do that later. All right, so you guys can drag select everything here and we can move that to the side. We'll keep that over here for later. And we can add in a new cube. So as you can see, it says object mode here. This is the mode where you can just do the transforms here and you can add in the simple cubes and objects. And you can see that there's sometimes complicated pillars and everything like that. And how we can make that is by pressing tab and this will make you into edit mode. You can see it's edit here. You can switch between them by going here and clicking object mode or by clicking tab. Does anyone have questions so far? No? Okay. So there's gonna be different selection options that we have. So you can see here, it says select mode, and this is find out vertices. So you can click on the little dots here. This will allow you to click on the little, I guess the points at the end of each cube. And if you go back up here, click this one, the one in the middle here. And this will now allow you to click on the edges. You can drag select multiple of them. And finally, we got 3, which is actually no, we got the face. So this will allow you to select faces. And there's also shortcuts for this because there's always shortcuts for everything. So what you can do is click 1 and this will give you the vertices. And clicking 2, this will allow you to click on the edges. And 3 is faces. Is everyone good here?
Just to quickly add on to that, as you can see, everything in Blender is made out of simple shapes like rectangles, or even if you look at the cone, it's made out of a lot of tiny triangles. And so basically what edit mode allows you to do is to edit each of the individual triangles or individual rectangles of a shape to give you more detailed control over what the shape looks like.
All right, cool. Is everyone here? You are in edit mode and you can select the faces, the edges, or the vertices.
How do you get to edit mode?
Oh, press tab. You can switch between them by pressing tab.
Tab does not do anything.
All right, then we have a solution here. So do you see in this top corner here, top left corner?
Yeah.
And then you see this thing that says object mode.
Yep.
Click on it and then scroll down to the edit mode.
It only says object mode.
Wait, oh. Okay. Wait, can you show me? Wait, real quick. Okay. Are you selecting an object first? Do you have like a cube selected?
Wait. No.
Yeah, maybe try clicking a cube and see if that works. how do I make the cube the origin point? I don't think I understand the question. Could you try to explain a bit more? Uh, oh, so you mean this house is right now back here? Is that what you meant, right? I keep the chat open. Okay, so you want to select everything? Actually, we'll get rid of the cube for now. And you just want to click G and then Y, and then you just want to move it out. All right, well, we'll go back to edit mode again. So from here, you can do some funky stuff. If you click 1, which is vertices, and now you can press G, which is the move, and now you can just move that single vertice all around. Actually, we'll move this vertice around. So you can see it alters the mesh, and you can see you can just freely move it around. And also the Z and the X and the Y axis thing applies here. So by clicking Z, you can move it up and down. Y is side here, and X is here and here. You can do the same with the edges. What you couldn't do with the vertices was rotate or scale it, but on the edges, you can now scale it on. You can now scale it. You can also rotate it around. And finally faces, which you can also move around. You can rotate it. And you can also scale it. That's the basics. You can see that there's a lot more tools here, but we do have time for them, but I'm not sure if we want to go straight into that on the first day.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll cover some more tools next time. Can you just quickly also show can you show them how to like make like a simple snowman with 2 balls and a cone as a hat?
Yeah, okay. Here we go. Cool. So what we first need is Shift A, and we can click we'll go UV sphere. Is everyone here? All right. We can move this to ground level by clicking GZ1. And you can make sure that here it says 1. And then now we can add in a new UV sphere. And we can go to the X view here. And we'll move this right on top of it. Or 3. Is everyone here right now? If you need help, you can type in chat or unmute. Okay. What we can do next is since the top should be smaller, we can scale it. Oh, actually, we'll change this back to individual origins. You can do this by pressing period and individual origins. We can scale this. And we can move this down a bit. Oh. All right, is everyone here? All right. What we can now do, we can add in the sticks. Sure, we can actually do it. What we can do is press cube. Oh, chat. Scale is S. I'll wait a bit for you to catch up if you want. If you guys can hear my sister in the background, I'm sorry. Alright. What we can now do is scale this entire thing down. We'll scale it to like 0.1 here. Oh. Alright, does everyone have this tiny cube right now? Yeah, okay. Actually, we'll make it even smaller, actually. And then what we can do is we can scale it on the y-axis. We can click S and then Y, and then, this is a good length. So I guess it's back to 1. So you can click on this, and we want only move it on the Z and the y-axis. So we can press Shift X, and this will make it so it does not move on the x-axis. And we can move it right here. Is everyone here? Okay. And then we could rotate it on the x-axis here. And we can move it up a bit. Oh yeah, the arm's a little long, but it's all right. Is everyone here right now? Because I'm about to do something that might be a little advanced, so I just want to make sure everyone's caught up here. Okay, so what you can do is select this, and before you do anything, press period, and make sure the point is the 3D cursor. Is everyone here? Okay.
The
So
3D cursor.
yeah, 3D cursor, period, and then 3D cursor. You good? Okay, so what now we're gonna do is we're gonna duplicate this. So what you're going to do is press Shift and then D, and now you have a free copy of it. Is everyone here? Okay,
How duplicate?
so you have the object selected, and then you press Shift D. And then from there, you want to click R, so now you can rotate it around, and then make it the Z axis. And flipping it on the opposite side will be 180 degrees. So just type in 180, and now you just mirrored it across to the other side. So now you have a little snowman like this. Does anyone need help, or are we good so far? Okay. And then now you have your little snowman. It looks kind of funky because the arms are a little too small. So we can scale it in. And we can move it up a bit. And then we have a little snowman.
How do we flip it?
Oh. So you click on this, right? And you press Shift D, so you have a copy. And then you press R, which is rotating. And then you click Z, so now it's only rotating around like this. You can rotate it to the completely opposite side. And since a full loop is 360, you just do 180. Did you get it? Okay. Yeah, that's a little snowman that we made.
Cool, thank you. Okay, so We're almost at time today, so let me just show you. So from today, you can see that Blender is a really cool tool. You can make a lot of things with it. And so throughout the next week, I really want to encourage you guys to just play around with Blender, see what it can do, try to make some cool stuff with all of the primitive shapes. And let me just share my screen real quick. Give me one moment. So if you can see this, all of these are cool things that I made just with the primitive shapes, like cylinders. There's cones here. This is another cylinder. And then this is a little figure made entirely of cubes. Just scaled it and then moved and then rotated around. This is my attempt at making a Minecraft creeper. And then this is just another simple like yo-yo that I tried to do. These are all simple things that you can make just with the basic cylinders, cones, and cubes that you guys learned today. And so I just encourage you to use your creativity to try to make, just try to experiment with things in Blender. It might look kind of daunting, but once you figure out like just the basics of Blender, it's really exciting to use. And so usually there's always an 80-20 rule where if you learn 20% of the function, you can create 80% of the things. So I just encourage you guys to play around with Blender, try to make some cool stuff. And let me see. So there are also a lot of helpful videos online that you can try to search up. This person on YouTube, Blender Guru, he has a lot of amazing and helpful videos, especially those geared towards beginners, that covers a lot of the basic Blender functionalities, like moving things around and how to make stuff. So he has a lot of cool videos, and the one he's most notable for is his tutorial on how to make a donut. So if you're curious, I encourage everyone to check out his tutorial on making a donut.
If you just
Anyways, you guys can just search up Blender beginners tutorial and he'll probably show up. And thank you guys for coming. That's it for today. If you guys have any questions, feel free to contact me. If you guys have any questions, or if you want my contact, any of our contact information, you can ask right now and we'll try our best to help. Okay. If there's no further questions, sorry, did I interrupt someone? If there's no further questions, then thank you all for coming today. And I'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I gotta work on my public speaking skills. I got 0.
No, you did great. No, that was pretty good.
You did fine. Yeah, that was pretty good.
I'm gonna hop off.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.
All right. Thank you guys. Take care.